In a village in Africa, woven into the fabric of rolling hills and meandering streams, Jacob and Miriam carved out a life marked by dedication and respect. Jacob, a farmer, rose with the dawn, his days a symphony of toil and soil. His hands, roughened by years of work, turned the earth, planting seeds that would grow into bountiful harvests. His reputation as a diligent farmer spread far and wide, bringing a sense of pride to the village. Miriam, on the other hand, was a weaver whose fingers danced over her loom with the grace of a seasoned artist. Her tapestries were not mere fabrics. They were stories woven in thread, capturing the essence of the village's history and culture. Each piece was a testament to her skill and a beacon of the village's rich heritage. Her artistry earned her respect and admiration, turning her into an icon of creativity and tradition in the community. In this world of relentless hard work and artistic mastery, Elara, their daughter, grew up. A child with chestnut hair and eyes that held the depth of the village well, she was a natural beauty. Her parents took immense pride in her appearance and sharp intellect, often sharing tales of her achievements with fellow villagers. However, amidst their busy lives, they failed to notice the subtleties of her growing emotional needs. Elara, often left to her own devices, found solace in the lap of nature and the company of her own thoughts. She would wander through the fields or sit quietly in her mother's weaving room, observing and learning, yet quietly yearning for more attention and engagement from her parents. Her presence in their lives was like a gentle breeze, felt but not always seen or acknowledged in the whirlwind of their daily responsibilities. Jacob and Miriam, though loving parents, unknowingly let their dedication to their professions overshadow their role as caregivers. Their conversations with Elara were often brief, revolving around her health and school, but rarely delving into the depths of her thoughts and feelings. In their minds, Elara was a content and well-adjusted child, needing little beyond the material comfort and social standing they provided. As Elara grew, the gap between her inner world and her parents' perception of it widened. The seeds of neglect, sown unintentionally, began to sprout in subtle ways, in her quiet demeanor, in the way she'd lose herself in books, and in her solitary strolls through the village. Jacob and Miriam, preoccupied with their roles and the respect they commanded, remained oblivious to the silent cries of their daughter's heart, setting the stage for the changes that were to unfold in the coming years. Elara's early years unfolded like a quietly blooming flower in the heart of the village, surrounded by the natural beauty and the warmth of community life. She grew up watching her father, Jacob, tending to the fields with unwavering dedication, his face often streaked with the dust and sweat of honest labor. Her mother, Miriam, was a vision of concentration and skill, her hands weaving tales into tapestries, each thread intertwining with the next, in a dance of colors and patterns. Despite their deep love for Elara, Jacob and Miriam were often absorbed in their demanding roles. Mornings started early for Jacob, who believed in greeting the sun as it rose. His days were spent meticulously planning crops, tilling the land, and caring for the livestock. His connection with the earth was profound, but it left little room for much else, including the growing needs of his daughter. Similarly, Miriam's world revolved around her loom. The clacking of the wooden frame and the swish of the shuttle were constants in their home, a rhythmic backdrop to their daily lives. Her art required precision and patience, often consuming hours of her day, drawing her into a world where time and attention were devoted to her craft. In this environment, Elara learned to find comfort in solitude. She was a bright child, quick to learn and eager to explore, but her explorations were often solitary endeavors. Her parents, seeing her contented with books and small pleasures, assumed she was happy and well-adjusted. They celebrated her academic achievements and her growing beauty, but their conversations rarely ventured beyond surface-level inquiries about her day or her needs. Important milestones in Elara's life often went unnoticed or were briefly acknowledged in the midst of busy schedules. Her first school play, where she played the lead role, saw Jacob and Miriam arriving just in time for the final act, their faces etched with a mix of guilt and relief. Her birthdays were marked with gifts and well-wishes, but the deep, meaningful connections that Elara craved remained elusive. As Elara transitioned from a child to a young girl, the lack of emotional engagement from her parents began to leave a void. She was loved, of that there was no doubt, but the love was often expressed in hurried words and tired smiles. In the absence of deeper emotional nurturing, Elara began to seek fulfillment and understanding outside the confines of her home, unknowingly setting herself on a path that would lead her away from the simplicity of her early life and into a world fraught with complexities and unexplored emotions. As the seasons changed and Elara blossomed into adolescence, a noticeable shift began to take root in her life. It was during these formative years that she crossed paths with Lena and Zara, daughters of the village's most affluent families. Lena, with her sharp features and raven black hair, and Zara, known for her golden locks and infectious laughter, were the epitome of grace and privilege in the village. Their sudden interest in Elara, the farmer's daughter, marked a turning point in her otherwise predictable life. Jacob and Miriam observed this budding friendship with a mix of emotions. They felt a sense of pride seeing their daughter accepted by the village elite, interpreting it as a validation of their own social standing. Yet beneath this pride, there was a flicker of apprehension. They feared the influence of these new friends, whose lives of luxury and freedom stood in stark contrast to the values they had instilled in Elara. This new chapter in Elara's life widened the already growing chasm between her and her parents. As she spent more time with Lena and Zara, her world began to diverge from the simple, grounded existence she had known. The allure of their lifestyle, replete with grand parties and an air of sophistication, was a stark contrast to the days she spent in the quiet company of nature or amidst the rhythmic sounds of her mother's loom. Jacob and Miriam, though aware of these changes, remained mostly on the periphery of Elara's evolving world. Their conversations with her became increasingly superficial, often limited to mundane inquiries about her day. They noticed her late returns from Lena's mansion or the occasional fancy dress she wore, but they attributed these changes to the whims of teenage life, the deeper currents of change eluding their understanding. Elara, for her part, began to feel increasingly disconnected from her parents. The more time she spent with her new friends, the more apparent the differences between their worlds became. The freedom and choices that Lena and Zara enjoyed stood in sharp contrast to the life she knew at home, where expectations were rooted in tradition and hard work. This period of adolescence thus became a pivotal juncture for Elara. It was a time of exploration and self-discovery, but also of growing detachment from her roots. Her parents, preoccupied with their own lives and blinded by their assumptions, failed to see the depth of this shift. The gap in understanding and communication continued to widen, setting the stage for the profound changes that were yet to unfold in Elara's life. The village, with its unchanging rhythm and familiar faces, began to feel confining to Elara as she delved deeper into adolescence. This feeling of discontent was a quiet undercurrent in her life, growing stronger each day as the gap between her and her parents widened. Jacob and Miriam, engrossed in their respective worlds of farming and weaving, failed to notice the subtle signs of their daughter's inner turmoil. Elaras Escape came in the form of her blossoming friendships with Lena and Zara. Their world, one of privilege and freedom, offered her a glimpse into a life vastly different from her own. The allure of this new world was intoxicating to Elara, who had always known a life marked by simplicity and routine. Lena and Zara's carefree attitudes and access to the finer things in life presented a stark contrast to the values of hard work and modesty that Elara had been raised with. The first time Elara was invited to a gathering at Lena's mansion, It was like stepping into a different universe. The opulence of the mansion, with its grand halls and lavish decor, was overwhelming. She was mesmerized by the chandeliers that dripped with crystals, the exotic food that adorned the tables, and the sophisticated chatter that filled the air. These experiences were new and exhilarating, providing a temporary respite from the emotional void she felt at home. Jacob and Miriam, meanwhile, started to notice subtle changes in Elara's behavior. She seemed more distant, often lost in thought, and her once frequent visits to the fields and weaving room dwindled. Conversations about these changes were brief and dismissive between the couple. Jacob, ever the pragmatic, attributed it to the passing phase of teenage rebellion. Miriam, though slightly more concerned, convinced herself that Elara was simply exploring new friendships and would soon settle back into her usual routine. For Elara, these escapades with Lena and Zara became more than just social outings. They were her escape from the reality of being overlooked at home. The more time she spent in their world, the more she craved the acknowledgement and excitement it offered. The turning point in Elara's life came during a grand festival in a neighboring village. It was an event that brought together the different strata of society, a vibrant tapestry of colors, music, and laughter. Here, amidst the revelry and celebration, Elara met Adrian, the young noble whose presence would irrevocably alter the course of her life. Adrian was unlike anyone Elara had encountered in her sheltered village life. He was charismatic, cultured, and spoke of places and experiences far beyond the rolling hills of her world. Their connection was immediate and profound, a meeting of two souls that seemed destined in its intensity. To Elara, Adrian embodied the escape she had been unconsciously seeking, an escape from the monotony of village life and the emotional neglect she felt at home. Their relationship blossomed in secret, fueled by the thrill of forbidden love and the intensity of their youthful passion. Their meetings, hidden from the prying eyes of the village, were filled with promises of a future together. Elara, caught in the heady whirlwind of first love, was blinded to the potential consequences of their liaison. Meanwhile, Jacob and Miriam remained largely in the dark about their daughter's romance. They noticed changes in Elara, her frequent absences, her wistful expressions, but attributed these to the usual ebbs and flows of adolescent life. Their occasional inquiries about her whereabouts were met with vague responses about spending time with Lena and Zara. Trusting in their daughter, they did not probe further, unaware of the depth of Elara's emotional world and her growing detachment from them. The illusion of a secret idyll shattered the day Elara discovered she was pregnant. The revelation struck her with a force that left her reeling. Fear, confusion, and a naive hope that Adrian would stand by her swirled in her mind. In desperation, she confided in Lena and Zara, who, despite their worldly facade, were as unequipped as Elara to handle the gravity of the situation. The confession of her pregnancy and relationship with Adrian to her parents was a moment of heart-wrenching vulnerability. Miriam, having noticed changes in her daughter's demeanor and health, gently confronted her. The truth, when it spilled out in a torrent of tears and tremulous words, hit Jacob and Miriam like a tidal wave. Their daughter, their Elara, was pregnant, and the father was nowhere to be seen. Adrian, upon learning of the pregnancy, displayed the fleeting and superficial nature of his promises. His departure was as swift as his arrival, leaving behind a trail of broken dreams and a devastated Elara. For Jacob and Miriam, the revelation was a wake-up call. It forced them to confront not just the societal shame that enveloped their family, but also the painful realization of their failure in providing the emotional support and guidance Elara so desperately needed. The impact of Elara's secret romance and subsequent pregnancy sent shockwaves through their family. Jacob and Miriam grappled with a whirlwind of emotions, disappointment, guilt, and a profound sense of loss. They were forced to reassess their roles as parents and the part they had played in the unfolding of these events. Their journey towards understanding, acceptance, and support of their daughter in her time of need began in the wake of this life-altering crisis. The revelation of Elara's pregnancy sent ripples through the family and the village, marking the beginning of a tumultuous period for Jacob and Miriam. The couple, once the epitome of hard work and respectability, found themselves at the center of whispered gossip and pitiful glances. The weight of societal judgment bore heavily on them, challenging their long-held beliefs and forcing them to confront their own shortcomings as parents. For Jacob, the news was a blow to his sense of pride and honor. Accustomed to being a pillar of the community, he struggled to reconcile his image as a respected farmer with that of a father who had failed to guide his daughter. He grappled with feelings of anger and betrayal, not just towards Elara for her indiscretion, but also towards himself for his negligence. His days in the fields were now clouded with introspection, as he turned over the soil and his thoughts simultaneously. Miriam's world, too, was shaken to its core. Her daughter's predicament forced her to look beyond the threads of her tapestries to the unraveling fabric of their family life. Guilt gnawed at her for the countless hours spent at the loom, for the moments missed and the emotional cues overlooked. Her art, once a source of solace, now served as a reminder of her inattention to Elara's growing needs. As they grappled with their own emotions, Jacob and Miriam also had to navigate the Villages Judgement. The community they had been a part of for so long, one that had celebrated their professional achievements, now viewed them through a lens of pity and disappointment. The once friendly nods were replaced with averted gazes, and the warm greetings turned into hushed conversations as they passed. This period was a test of their character and their relationship, not just as husband and wife, but as parents. The realization that their societal image was secondary to their daughter's well-being began to dawn on them. Slowly, amid the turmoil, there was a shift in their priorities. The need to support Elara in her time of vulnerability became more important than maintaining a facade of perfection. Jacob and Miriam started to reach out to Elara, offering her the emotional support they had unknowingly withheld. This marked the beginning of a gradual but profound transformation in their family dynamics. It was a painful journey, filled with awkward conversations and silent acknowledgements of their past mistakes. Yet, it was a necessary step towards healing and rebuilding the bonds that had frayed over the years. Their efforts to stand by Elara in the face of personal guilt and societal judgment laid the foundation for a renewed relationship based on understanding, empathy, and unconditional love. In the wake of Elara's crisis, Jacob and Miriam embarked on a journey of reconciliation, not just with their daughter, but also with themselves. This period marked a significant transformation in their family, as they began to mend the frayed bonds and rebuild their relationship on a foundation of empathy and understanding. Jacob, who had always found solace in the rhythm of farm life, started to carve out time for Elara. He would often invite her to walk with him in the fields, using the quiet of nature as a backdrop for their conversations. These walks became a space for sharing thoughts and feelings, a stark contrast to their previous interactions. Jacob listened more than he spoke, providing Elara the attention and validation she had long craved. In these moments, father and daughter found a new way to connect, slowly bridging the gap that had widened over the years. Miriam, too, took deliberate steps towards reconnecting with her daughter. She began involving Elara in her weaving, teaching her the intricacies of the loom and the stories behind each tapestry. These sessions were more than just lessons in art. They were intimate exchanges of stories, fears, and dreams. Miriam found in these moments an opportunity to express her love and regret for the years of emotional neglect. The loom, which had once been a barrier between them, became a symbol of their renewed bond. As Elara's pregnancy progressed, Jacob and Miriam's support became her pillar of strength. They accompanied her to doctor's appointments, prepared for the baby's arrival, and stood by her in the face of lingering societal judgment. Their actions spoke louder than words, demonstrating their commitment to supporting Elara through her challenges. This period of reconciliation was transformative for Elara as well. She began to view her parents in a new light, understanding the constraints and pressures they had faced. The bitterness and resentment that had taken root in her heart started to dissipate, replaced by a growing appreciation for their efforts to amend their past mistakes. The birth of Seraphina, Elara's daughter, marked a new chapter for the family. Jacob and Miriam embraced their roles as grandparents with joy and dedication. Their involvement in Seraphina's life was not just an expression of love for their granddaughter, but also a symbol of their commitment to being present and supportive in Elara's life. Through these efforts, the family found a way to turn their pain and regret into a source of strength and unity. The journey of reconciliation brought them closer, forging a bond that was deeper and more meaningful than before. It was a testament to their resilience and the enduring power of love in mending broken relationships. In the quiet twilight of their lives, Jacob and Miriam reflected on the turbulent journey that had brought their family to a place of understanding and love. This period of introspection was marked by a sense of redemption for their past mistakes. They realized that their relentless pursuit of professional excellence had come at the cost of their daughter's emotional well-being. This acknowledgement was painful, yet cathartic, allowing them to fully embrace their role as supportive parents and doting grandparents. Elara, witnessing the transformation in her parents, responded with an open heart. The barriers built over years of emotional neglect slowly crumbled, revealing a deepened bond rooted in mutual respect and understanding. Her relationship with her parents evolved, becoming a source of strength and inspiration in her life. Together, they navigated the challenges and joys of raising Seraphina, each learning and growing through the experience. The family's journey became a testament to the power of forgiveness and the resilience of human relationships. Jacob and Miriam's ability to acknowledge their faults and strive for change not only mended their relationship with Elara, but also set a powerful example for Seraphina. Their story was a reminder that it's never too late to alter the course of one's life and heal the bonds that truly matter. In the twilight of their years, Jacob, Miriam, and Elara reflected on their journey, a narrative rich with lessons of love, understanding, and forgiveness. They learned the importance of emotional support and open communication in a family, recognizing that neglect, even when unintentional, leaves deep imprints. Their story underscored the resilience needed to face societal judgments and personal hardships. It highlighted the power of forgiveness as a tool for healing, not just within oneself, but in relationships. Above all, their journey reaffirmed the enduring strength of family bonds, proving that even amidst challenges and mistakes, love and understanding can pave the way for redemption and unity. Thank you for following this intriguing story. If you enjoyed this story, please feel free to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you won't miss out on more interesting stories like this one.